Have you ever wondered why, despite all your effort, the world often feels indifferent to your striving? Imagine standing at the foot of a vast, cold mountain, its peak hidden in clouds. You've been told you can climb it, that everyone can. That greatness is for the taking if you just work hard enough. But as you begin your ascent, you realize something quietly unsettling. Most people never make it. Some give up, some never even begin, and others perhaps were never meant to climb at all. Today, we step into a hard but honest truth, a truth that the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche never flinched from, that success, in its deepest sense, isn't meant for everyone. Not because people lack worth, but because greatness demands something rare, an inner fire that refuses comfort, a will strong enough to shape chaos into meaning. Nietzsche called it the will to power, and he believed only a few ever awaken it fully. So, in this episode, we'll explore what it means to live in a world where not all paths lead to glory, and why that might not be a tragedy, but a call to deeper honesty. Take a breath, let go of the noise, and let's begin. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is not simply a desire for domination or success, as the modern mind might assume. It is something more elemental, more intimate. At its core, it is the deep, driving force within all life to expand, to assert, to shape. Nietzsche believed that everything living strives not merely to survive, but to express its inner strength, to overcome resistance, and to grow into what it truly is. The will to power is not about climbing a corporate ladder or achieving fame. It is about becoming the author of your own being. But here lies the difficult truth. Not everyone possesses the same intensity of this will. Not everyone is willing or able to bear the weight of this creative struggle. Most live quietly, adhering to the values handed down to them. They repeat what they've been taught, echo the expectations of their culture, and call it success. But Nietzsche warns us that this is not genuine power. It is compliance. The true will to power belongs to those rare individuals who are willing to risk comfort for the sake of inner transformation. These individuals do not accept meaning, they forge it. Like artists sculpting in darkness, they carve out a form from the chaos of existence. This requires not just strength, but solitude, pain, and clarity. It is no accident that Nietzsche's heroes often stand alone, misunderstood by the world that cannot see the fire beneath their silence. Consider a young writer who burns with questions no one around her is willing to ask. Her peers pursue stable careers, echo safe ambitions. But she chooses a path of solitude, writing work that unsettles even herself. She may never be recognized, she may fail in the worldly sense, but if her words come from her deepest truth, if they are shaped by the honest tension between what is and what could be, then she has obeyed the will to power. Her success is not applause, but becoming. Yet this power is not democratic. Nietzsche knew that such courage is rare. Most people choose the comfort of the known, the shelter of the herd, but a few step beyond, trembling and alone, to build new ground beneath their feet. And it is here we begin to see the deeper divide, not between rich and poor, or strong and weak, but between those who follow and those who create. The question then is not whether you succeed by the world's standards, but whether you are creating from the deepest part of yourself. And so, we arrive at a troubling thought. If only a few can climb, what of the rest? Nietzsche offers no easy consolation. In the next journey, we enter this uncomfortable terrain, the divide between the herd and the higher type. Like a narrow mountain path splitting away from a wide road, this divergence marks not only a change in direction, but a transformation of soul. Let's proceed. Nietzsche often spoke of two kinds of people, the herd and the higher type. At first glance, this may sound elitist, even harsh, but for Nietzsche, it was not about social class or intellect. It was about orientation, how one chooses to live. The herd lives by borrowed truths. It finds safety in the familiar, in numbers, in the reassurance of shared customs and beliefs. It prefers peace over depth, routine over risk. To belong to the herd is to live a life already defined by others, to follow without asking who created the path or where it leads. There is comfort in this, yes, but also a quiet tragedy. The higher type, by contrast, does not find rest in the herd's warmth. These individuals are marked not by arrogance, but by an inner restlessness. They cannot help but question, seek, and disturb. Nietzsche's Übermensch, or Overman, symbolizes this rare soul who steps beyond inherited values to create new ones. The higher type does not rebel out of spite, but out of necessity. Their very being demands a deeper honesty, even if it brings loneliness. They are not guided by the crowd, but by the compass of their own conscience. To them, success is not conformity, it is self-overcoming. Imagine someone who has followed every rule, earned the degrees, climbed the ranks, achieved everything they were told would bring fulfillment. Yet, in quiet moments, they feel empty, not because they failed, but because the path was never truly theirs. One day, they step back and begin to listen, not to the world, but to the faint whisper within. This moment of turning inward is where the higher type is born. Not in defiance, but in awakening. It is a subtle rupture, like a crack in the ice that reveals the depth beneath. Nietzsche knew this path was perilous. To live as a higher type is to stand at odds with the crowd. It is to walk through misunderstanding, to bear the weight of doubt, and to resist the seduction of easy belonging. But it is also to live with intensity, with meaning forged in the fires of struggle. The herd will always exist. It is necessary. It holds the fabric of society together. But the higher type tears and reweaves that fabric, reminding us that life is not merely to be lived, it is to be shaped. And yet, for those who cannot or do not wish to rise, something else often takes root: resentment, a quiet poison. In the next insight, we'll explore how those who remain in the herd, when faced with the presence of the higher type, may turn their frustration into moral judgment. Like shadows cast by a bright flame, resentment distorts what it cannot become. If these ideas are sparking something within you, feel free to pause and reflect, or share your thoughts quietly with us below. It's a space for gentle curiosity and honest exploration. Let's continue. There is a quiet emotion that seeps into the soul when one feels powerless in the face of strength. Nietzsche called it ressentiment, a form of resentment born not of momentary anger, but of sustained impotence. It is the feeling that arises when one cannot or will not act on their own inner drive, and instead turns their frustration outward. When someone sees another rise with brilliance or boldness, it can provoke admiration. But if that rise casts a shadow over one's own unlived potential, admiration can curdle into bitterness. And slowly, a new morality is born, not out of truth, but out of need. Nietzsche observed that over time, those who lacked power began to rewrite the meaning of goodness itself. Instead of honoring strength, they glorified meekness. Instead of admiring those who ascend, they sanctified humility, sacrifice, and suffering. He believed that much of our moral language, especially in religious and democratic traditions, was shaped not by objective insight, but by the psychological need to cope with inequality. The weak, he wrote, shall inherit the earth, not because they were truly superior, but because they redefined superiority in their own image. This is the myth of equality, not that all humans are worthy of dignity, but that all must be the same in value, desire, and ability. For Nietzsche, this was a profound misunderstanding of life's complexity. Imagine a man who once dreamed of painting but never dared to try. Now, in midlife, he finds himself quietly scorning artists, calling their work indulgent or impractical. Beneath his critique lies a buried wound, a part of him that once wanted to create but turned away in fear. His resentment is not really about the art, it's about the life unlived within him. This is ressentiment in action. When we cannot bear to look directly at our own failure, we deny the value of what we failed to become. And in doing so, we often seek to pull others down to ease the sting of our own stagnation. But Nietzsche does not condemn these people. He only invites them and us to see clearly, to recognize that resentment is a signpost pointing towards something unacknowledged within. It may reveal where we've settled, where we've blamed, where we've ceased striving. And if we are brave, we can meet this resentment not with denial, but with introspection. For it is not equality that frees us, but honesty. Only by facing what we lack can we begin to move beyond it. Yet what happens when even honesty feels unreachable? When we pursue dreams that are not truly ours, chasing images of success handed down by others. In the next journey, we step into this subtle danger, the illusion of success that hides a deeper spiritual failure. Like a beautiful mask worn too long, false ambition can leave us hollow beneath. In a world that rewards appearances, it is easy to mistake visibility for value. Nietzsche warned of this illusion, the pursuit of a success that looks impressive on the outside but leaves the soul untouched. He saw in modern life a quiet tragedy, people striving with intensity but not authenticity. Many chase success not out of deep inner calling, but out of fear. Fear of being left behind, of being seen as unworthy, of confronting the silence within. This, Nietzsche believed, leads to a kind of spiritual counterfeit, a life that appears full but is hollow at its core. False success is seductive because it mimics real achievement. It brings praise, admiration, and often material reward, but it is not rooted in the will to power, that inner striving to shape one's life according to one's deepest truth. Instead, it is driven by comparison and conformity. Nietzsche saw this in the last man, his symbol for the modern individual who avoids risk, avoids depth, and settles for comfort, disguised as meaning. This person may have all the markers of success, career, reputation, stability, but they are disconnected from the raw, creative force that gives life its intensity. They do not suffer deeply, but neither do they create. Imagine someone who always followed the rules. They became who they were expected to become. They worked hard, earned respect, and built a life that others admire. But in quiet moments, a strange ache emerges, an emptiness not from failure, but from the realization that none of it was truly theirs. The career, the goals, even the desires were borrowed. Success, when not aligned with the self, becomes a mask. And the longer we wear the mask, the more we forget the face beneath it. Nietzsche challenges us to strip away these illusions. He asks, what do you truly value when no one is watching? What would you still do even if it brought no recognition? These are not easy questions, but they are the questions of the awakened soul. The danger of false success is not just personal discontent, it is the gradual erosion of one's inner compass. In chasing what the world rewards, we may forget what our spirit needs. But there is another path, not always glamorous, not always seen, but real. It begins not with ambition, but with acceptance, with turning inward and embracing what is. In the next section, we explore Amor, Fati, Nietzsche's call to love one's fate. Like sunlight warming a barren field, this idea invites us to stop striving against life and begin affirming it. Nietzsche's philosophy culminates in a profound and beautiful challenge, Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. To embrace Amor Fati is not merely to accept what happens, but to welcome it, to affirm every moment as necessary, even desirable. It is an invitation to say yes to life's fullness, the joys and the pains, the triumphs and the defeats, without reservation or regret. This radical acceptance dissolves the tension between desire and reality. Instead of resisting what is, the soul learns to dance with it. Such love transforms fate from a burden into a creative partner in the art of becoming. Imagine a river flowing over rocks and bends. The water does not fight the stones, it flows around them, shaping and being shaped in turn. In this way, Amor Fati invites us to see life's obstacles not as curses but as integral elements of our growth. Nietzsche writes, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. To embrace this is to become the artist of one's own life, painting with every color fate provides, even those dark and difficult hues." This acceptance is not resignation, it is the highest form of strength. It demands courage to face life unflinchingly and gratitude for existence as it unfolds. When we embrace our fate, we step beyond the futile question of whether success will come to us, and instead affirm the life that is ours, no matter its shape or size. This stance frees us from the endless comparison and bitterness that Nietzsche saw as traps for the many. It allows a deep peace to arise, even when the world's applause is silent. In learning to love our fate, we touch the essence of Nietzsche's teaching. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. It asks not that we all succeed by the world's terms, but that we live authentically and fully within our own limits. This is the quiet victory for which the few are prepared, and the many can strive toward. And so as we close this reflection, consider this. Success may not be for everyone, but the invitation to love your fate is, like a seed lying dormant beneath the winter snow, this love waits quietly for its moment to awaken. We began this journey standing at the foot of a mountain few dare to climb, a mountain shaped by Nietzsche's uncompromising insight that success in its deepest form is not meant for everyone. We explored the will to power as a force not of mere ambition, but of profound self-creation, reserved for those willing to wrestle with themselves and the world. We saw how many choose the comfort of the herd, how resentment can cloud our vision, and how the pursuit of false success leaves the spirit hollow and unfulfilled. Yet beyond all this, Nietzsche offers a different path, Amor, Fati, the love of one's fate, a radical acceptance that transforms life's burdens into the very material of becoming. This is not a call to resignation, but to a courageous embrace of the life we have, in all its messiness and mystery. It reminds us that the true measure of a life is not its trophies or its applause, but its authenticity and depth. As you reflect on these ideas, perhaps the quiet question lingers: what does it mean to truly live your own life? What if success is not a destination but a way of becoming, one that welcomes both the shadows and the light? In this acceptance, there is peace. In this peace, a subtle power arises. The mountain may be steep and the climb difficult, but the view is never simply about reaching the summit. It is about learning to walk the path with open eyes and a willing heart. May this reflection inspire a gentle turning inward, a patient listening to the quiet voice that calls you not to someone else's success, but to your own becoming. Thank you for taking this time to reflect alongside me. If you found something meaningful here, I'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences in the comments, and also consider joining this growing community by subscribing. This is a shared journey, and your voice matters.